For more than 30 years, nothing of consequence happened in this Capitol without Lindsey Graham knowing about it. Nothing of significance happened anywhere in the world without Lindsey Graham having a view on it. And no bill became law in the most exceptional republic in human history without Lindsey Graham having a say in it.
This is pure coincidence, but the late Lindsey Graham, whom, as you just heard, the nation, led by President Trump, bid farewell to today, shares something in common with this show. Neither took or take themselves too seriously. Senator Graham knew politics was a game, and he played that game with relish that was both effective and self-aware. He readily admitted that he was on TV a lot, maybe too much, and that he wanted to be, had to be, in every room where a deal was being cut, because that was where the fun of politics and power could be found. Graham was what you might call a D.C. gangster. He was in every bipartisan gang that gathered to tackle a problem. That led Graham in many different ideological directions. And for all his Trumpian attributes now, there were times in South Carolina when conservative Republicans branded him a squishy liberal. Trust me, they tried, but they never could beat him. Graham could and would make fun of himself, acknowledging that much of his political life was lived as a sort of cheerful sidekick to more powerful men. First, Arizona Republican Senator John McCain, then later, of course, Donald Trump. But Graham evolved from that derivative approach to politics. With the benefits of seniority and the clout that came with it, Graham became his own force in the Senate and in national politics. And that is one of the reasons his sudden death hit Washington so hard. Graham, you see, had grown. He amassed power, but exercised it with a kind of aw-shucks joy that drew people closer, Republicans and Democrats. Graham's career, importantly, tracked two intertwined Republican revolutions. The first was the so-called Gingrich Revolution of 1994, the year Graham was first elected to the House, as part of the first GOP majority in that body in 40 years. There was a whiff of populism in that GOP power surge. Term limits, welfare reform, streamlining the federal bureaucracy, ending unfunded mandates on the states, the line item veto, small measures to tame DC's concentrated vortex of power. That second revolution was the Trump one that transformed the Republican Party. Gingrich, who had aged by then into a backroom party elder, was one of the few who understood the first revolution. After all, he led it, and who helped shape the second revolution, that more deeply populist, tariff-heavy, anti-immigration, white working class agenda Trump rode not once, but twice to the White House. Gingrich and Graham never lost touch. Graham, we should remember, was harshly critical of Trump at first. Then he came on board, and in so doing became the great Senate Trump whisperer, so much so that it was Trump who delivered the eulogy.
Lindsey and I did not exactly get off to the best of starts, running against each other. Back in 2016, Lindsey said something rather nasty on his flight to becoming the next president of the United States. So naturally, I did something that I shouldn't have done. I shared his personal cell phone number with the millions of people that happened to be watching that particular day as I made a speech, a very important speech. And I remember the number 202-228-0292, if anybody wants to give it a shot. His phone exploded. He said, I had that number for 20 years. His phone totally, I don't know what he did with it, but it exploded. That was the beginning of a friendship in a way. But it was Lindsey who had the last laugh, because while I blew up his phone for one day, we became great friends, and Lindsey did not stop calling me for the next 10 years.
Nikole Killion joins us now from outside the National Cathedral, where the ceremony honoring Graham's life just concluded. Nikole?
Yeah, and it certainly was a very emotional service. There were moments of levity, like when the president told that story about giving away Senator Graham's phone number. He also called him a tough cookie and kind of went off script for a bit because this was very personal for him. As you know, he was one of the last people to talk to the late senator before his passing. And so you could kind of tell that he was still sort of grappling with the fact that he is no longer here. And that also was the sense earlier today as well at a ceremony at the U.S. Capitol, and having walked the halls of Capitol Hill, many people are still trying to process the loss of Lindsey Graham because he was just everywhere all the time. And, not seeing him in the halls of Congress, not getting those phone calls, that the president used to receive from him is very difficult for a lot of folks. And certainly this cathedral behind me was packed with individuals. In addition to the former president, we also heard from Sean Hannity, the Fox News host, who knew him professionally, but also became very close friends with him. We also heard a very emotional tribute from the late senator's niece, who is the daughter of Darlene Graham, who is now the senator representing South Carolina, succeeding her late brother temporarily, although she is now running for his seat for a full term. But she talked about the importance of Senator Graham as a family man, as someone who was there for her in very difficult times. That is something her mother, Darlene Graham, also shared quite a bit ahead of this service once she was appointed as U.S. Senator in terms of losing her brother, given the close bond that they shared. But there were a number of dignitaries here, as you know, Major, everyone from the Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky, who met with Lindsey Graham just one day before his passing as he was trying to move forward this Russia sanctions package. We also saw Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu. Of course, the late senator was a champion of Israel and very supportive of our key ally. And of course, in addition to a number of senators and lawmakers who were here, there were a number of administration officials here, past and present, including former Vice President Mike Pence, who came into the U.S. Congress not long after that Republican revolution that you mentioned. He talked about how he looked up to the late Senator Lindsey Graham when he first joined the U.S. Congress, when Senator Graham was then a member of the House of Representatives. Take a listen to what the former vice president told me about their relationship and the legacy that Senator Graham now leaves behind.
It's impossible to talk about or remember Lindsey Graham without remembering that sense of humor. But while that may be what I miss the most, his leadership, particularly for America on the world stage, will be missed. But I am heartened that even tonight the United States Senate will take up the Lindsey Graham Russia sanctions bill as a testament to him, but also an ongoing testament to his leadership.
And that is what the former vice president said will be the senator's legacy as the Senate now moves forward with that legislation, that Russia sanctions package that Senator Graham pushed so vigorously for in the days leading up to his death. Major.
Nikole Killion at the National Cathedral, thank you so very much.